For all those saying that comic books can't be scary, just you wait. Hey toy fans, I'm here with another spooky October vintage toy opening. Now, this of course being McFarlane Toys from way back in the day. This is Vampire from Wetworks. Now, I have to admit, I did enjoy most parts of Wetworks. I do have like one of the graphic novels that is a collection of most of the story. I did kind of enjoy Wildcats too, but you know, it's kind of a certain taste. So some people, they don't like it. However, McFarlane Toys back in the day was awesome, and I love what they've done with Vampire here. Now, they've captured a lot of the look of Vampire, which was, you know, how he was portrayed or how they were portrayed within the comic. It says it's got removable leg armor and it stands 7 3/4 of an inch tall, so almost 8 inches tall. I have another McFarlane one that actually is the Max, and it has the kind of the fuzzy head dress that goes with it. So I'm familiar with how a lot of the McFarlane's toys are. Most of them came on this large bubble, and they felt a lot like a collector's piece, along with the sticker on the front that would have whatever comic it was from. This one happens to be Wetworks from the Ultra Action figures. Let's go to the back. Now on the back, of course, you had other Wetworks items here. Werewolf was one I'm trying to get a hold of. There was a second wave that, you know, had some of the other characters that were missing in here. I believe Bishop was one of them. But you also had Frankenstein in that line. Both Werewolf and Frankenstein I really was trying to get a hold of because I felt like they would be perfect for this Halloween season. You had other cross-sell work from like Youngblood, of course Spawn, which, you know, growing up I had quite a bit of these from Series 1, 2, and some from 3 as well. This was an incredible line. And at the bottom you have a clip and collect card that tells you some information about Vampire. Now, most collectors never really took these out. Some of them did. The ones that did display them, I think I kept like my card art somewhere in a box. I did not clip this out and put it off somewhere. I had it like with the whole card somewhere like under my bed. Now that's the card for Vampire, and there's really nothing else we can say about it. The card, fairly generic, it doesn't have a lot to it. We want to get this figure out, see if he's still playable, and get to scaring. Of course, straight out of the package, this is Vampire with all the accessories. Now, a lot of these figures, they were kind of posed up. Vampire is no exception. You know, a lot of the pieces are posed to basically mimic the comic. And for Vampire here, we'll break down articulation. There is a swivel head, and it is pressed very far forward. Now, there's a little bit of hindrance with these arm spikes up here. And the hair does cause some issues, and it is one big piece of fur. It does shed quite a bit, and so there's going to be little furs that go all over the place. You also have these swivel arms, and they swivel up and back and down, and of course the hair does get caught on them, and it is stopped by the head. So there's that side. This side does the same, up and back. It's caught in the hair. So the hair kind of hinders some things. It's cool looking, but it does cause some issues. And then of course the hands, you had those swivel hands, and look how gnarly those fingers are. They are pretty gnarly. You did have some hinged hips, and that's about as far as they go on both sides. And then you had the hinged knees, and the hinged knees go back quite a bit. Now, that's all articulation you're really going to get out of this. We need to kind of look at the other features that go with this particular action figure. Now with this one, he does have this headdress, and as the bottom of the package, there was some literature I found that showed how to put the headdress on, which you're supposed to kind of fit this over the ears if you can, and bring it down onto the head, kind of like this. It fits okay. The hair does cause some issues with it, but it fits okay. Now this belt was on him inside the packaging. However, you can take it off because it just has a peggable piece here. And it's kind of a softer plastic. Peg it on. And you've got this kind of loincloth belt thing. And what's interesting about this is that, you know, it kind of has that kind of ongoing, giving like spiked sort of vampire look. We saw a lot of this kind of sharp edge language that was with Raziel, with the BBI Soul Reaver stuff. And this is kind of an ongoing like vampire language. I mean, they had it in Blade as well. And then you have, of course, this giant, oversized, looks almost like the end of this reminds me of Voltron. And then this just kind of reminds me of like a strange oversized axe. For this, I guess it would fit in his hand sort of like that, maybe, or maybe this just fits on top of the hand like so. It's kind of a weird fit. This one, I'll admit, looks kind of strange, but it works for what we got. Now on the bottom of the package, it actually had another thing that talked about removable leg armor. So on the leg, you can remove these plates here, and you've got this exposed, almost like gigantic mech foot for a foot. And these armor pieces, I guess, would just peg back on as needed. So if you wanted to undress your figure and take off a headdress, a loincloth, and foot wraps for your mech portions, you could. And the same thing happens on the other side as well. Pops out, and you got to see all the mechanics in there. And I have to admit, I think that that's kind of cool. I love the look of the boots, and this has been like, the oversized feet was something I really dug with a lot of the Image comics back in the 90s, because there's a part of it that's just a little over the top, and the over the topness not only dates it, but gives it this really weird allure. And the feet being like super gigantic and oversized and almost like mech style always had such a kind of a calling for me that I dug it so much. Now, besides for the control visor that kind of fits on the head and the belt that keeps popping open, I think it's a pretty cool figure. It's definitely one of those that I think it's going to end up on my shelf. I'll probably put it over with Max and a few of the Spawn things that I have, but I don't have very much. I will happen to say, you know, judging by this one, I wouldn't mind having Werewolf and Frankenstein, just because, again, I like the monsters, and the Universal monsters to me just fit perfectly with a lot of the stuff that I do have. I think that this is a nice callback to the 90s. It's definitely a throwback to the 90s that people ask. This is going to be one of those kind of shelf turners for a lot of people, because a lot of people probably don't even know what Wetworks was. Some of those who read a lot of comics in the 90s and enjoyed that sort of thing, you would know it was interesting, fun, way over the top, but again, it has its place in the 90s history. Now that's all I got to say about Vampire from Todd McFarlane's Wetworks line of toys. Remember, they're not dolls. In this case, they're action figures with doll-like hair, but with removable mech boots. When I'm not recording videos here on YouTube, I'm actually over on a podcast on marvindogmedia.com called Talking Toys with Taylor and Jeff. It's a really cool toy podcast. Be sure to check it out. Also, I need your help getting my YouTube channel to grow. Be sure to subscribe down below with that big red button. Hit that bell for notifications so you can be alerted of anything that comes from me to you. Like this video, it helps YouTube know that you like what I'm making, and comment down below. I like chatting with you all.